Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it is Memorial Day. Thank you so much for spending your time with us on your blessed holiday. We really appreciate it. And remember what Memorial Day is all about, the people that lost their lives in the support of our country. So thank you so much to those brave souls that gave it all, men and women. And Tony Defeo, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great. I'm glad to be with you tonight.
Well, Tony, we've been doing this a long time together now, and it feels natural. You're like a brother to me. I mean,
yeah,
we both
absolutely.
we both have Anthony's in our name. We both have last names that start with D. We're the same age. Man, we would have been buddies if I grew up a little bit closer to. Did you grow up in Crafton?
No, I actually grew up on the east end of town, Lawrenceville, Polish Hill, Bloomfield.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school at Langley, which is over on the west end of town, but not far from where I live now.
I'm actually not familiar with Langley. How about that? I grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, went to Richland High School. So if I lived a little closer, I know I would have been hanging with Tony Jules. I know that. And look at all the people hanging out with us today. Thank you so much in the live chat. We appreciate you coming in. If you're listening to us not on Memorial Day, but on our family of podcasts on the audio-only platform, thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate it. Remember, each and every person that supports this show is how we're able to do it. We thank you so much. If it isn't for great listeners, great viewers like all of you, we couldn't do this show. We would just be talking to ourselves, and we'd be two jagoffs in a bar talking about the Steelers. So we're two jagoffs in front of everybody internationally and talking about the Steelers. So that's a whole lot better. And
my mom is so proud. My mom is so proud of that.
Oh my gosh, my mom and dad, they brag about this all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's so
that's great. It's great.
It's funny. I got new cell phones today, and the woman was like, the woman let it slip that she was a Steelers fan. I'm like, that's fine. And then she's like, okay, I have one more thing you need to do, sign here. And I'm like, okay, nope, it's your turn. It's your turn. Go ahead, have your husband download BTSC on his iPhone.
That's right.
I just supported you. You're supporting me, and he'll love it. And you need to do it too. So
always the promoter. That's it. That's why you're bad.
You know what? I actually had, and I don't pass them out. I actually had behind the steel curtain business cards.
Oh wow,
made up. Yeah, I mean, they were $10 online. I got like a million of them.
So do you still hand them out to this day, or?
No, I don't even know where they are. I know if I look for them, I'd find them, but I need to put them in my wallet. They have my phone number, my email, and anybody that wants to download the show. I mean, here you go.
Yeah,
I think I'll start doing that. They might be a collector's item someday, so I'll make sure that I send you one, Tony.
Oh, thank you. If it is a collector's item, I'm never going to sell it. I'm going to keep it. Even if you become famous, I'm not going to sell it. As far as you know.
I'm not becoming famous. I will tell you.
You never know.
I'm famous in my house, and that's about it. But with that being said, let's get this started. Wow. Okay. So we've been talking about so many fun things. And if it sounds like a party atmosphere in the background, there's a party going on in my house. That's okay. There's no one's crying. They're playing board games. They're having fun. That's 2 rooms over, but that's a good thing. So it's like we're at the stadium. It's like we're at a tailgate. So if you hear that background noise, that means that the party is going on.
That's right. It's just the field mic. That's all.
Yeah. There you go. So I mean, we just grilled out. I made my famous bad burgers. So they're really good. And Tony, you haven't had a burger like a bad burger. So I call it Flavor Town. I ripped that off from Guy Fieri, and I'm just as easy as Guy Fieri. I didn't rip that off of. I didn't rip the recipe, but I ripped the idea. The name Flavor Town. I'm like, hey, we're gonna go to Flavor Town here, and I actually ripped an idea. Tom Stroh wants to know what it is. So I use a special seasoning for my chili, It's a marinade that it gives it a very meaty flavor. Not going to tell you what it is, but I put that on the burger with some Hidden Valley Ranch, some honey flavored garlic powder with a little bit of a kick to it, and Montreal steak season. I love, man, I can put Montreal steak season on anything. And
That's
I just put that on anything. And then the burgers, the buns for the burgers have butter, and they're grilled on the grill also.
Damn.
So
that is Flavor Town.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a ticket.
So let's talk about this, though. I mean, we will talk Steelers, I promise you. But I'm doing what I tell all my podcasters not to do. I tell all my podcasters, get straight to the point. But it's Memorial Day, and it's The Hangover. And The Hangover is a different show. We know that. We know that The Hangover is not your usual fare. Plus, we're about to go into June 1st. So let's have some fun with this. Do you remember on The Cosby Show? This is way before any roofies were, well, we knew about any roofies.
That was the first must-see TV. I watched it every week. I admit it.
So when Theo was having a bad day, when he failed geometry, when a girl dumped him, when something happened, when Cockroach put a marijuana joint in his English book and he got busted and he was all sad, you know, at the end of the show, there was that lesson that was learned, and they're like, all right, what should we do now? And Theo would say to Cliff, bacon burger dogs, and Cliff would go, bacon burger dogs, and they'd go make bacon burger dogs, something like that. And I was like, what would a bacon burger dog be? So in my mind, I decided to make my own bacon burger dogs. So what I do is I get a hot dog, and I'm kind of scaling this down a little bit too. And I have to, because it would look like a meatloaf by the time you're done. But you get a hot dog, slit it in half, you stuff some cheese in it. All right. After that, you get a patty that I marinate in that seasoning that I tell you about. And I marinate it, and I get the hamburger, and I encase the cheese stuffed hot dog in that hamburger. And then I wrap bacon around it, put some toothpicks in so the bacon will stay, and you grill it like that.
Damn.
It's a cardiologist dream house. I'm telling you, I'm paying for a cardiologist to get a boat on this.
But it's all protein, so I mean there's no carbs, so you're good.
I'm from Western Pennsylvania, so I'm thinking of adding some Isley's chipped ham to it. Like maybe encase the hot dog in the chipped ham, just to go that. It's like my own version of the turducken, but I don't want any of that. What do you think, Tony Jules?
I like I said, I'm getting hungry, and I will come and book a first class flight to Flavor Town right now. You know, if you'll have me, I'm my mouth is watering. I like it. That's great. That's some good stuff. Cardiologist, nothing. I mean, as long as you go on a treadmill afterwards, you're fine. Tom
Stroh is going on a diet listening to this. Russ says, bad, my arteries are hardening as you describe the burger dog. Bacon burger dog, baby. Mm-hmm. And hey, it's like my bad jokes. You might not be laughing now, but you'll be telling it later. So you might be dissing it now, but you'll be, honey, why don't we have bacon burger dogs tonight? There you go.
The guy Fieri came up with it, so you know it's good.
No, Guy Fieri did not come with.
No, but you have to tell your wife just so she'll do it. You know?
My wife just she at this point she's like, hey, you're cooking. That's fine. That's cool. So let's get into it. So the Steelers, Brian Brown wants. Let's talk Steelers football. Sure.
Hey, you don't think they're eating steak today, Brian? Come on.
You know what, Brian Brown? Let me tell you something, and I'm just joking with you, Brian. But do you think that if I called up Cam Hayward and I called up Stephon Tuitt and maybe I called up Kendrick Green and Minkah and I called up Ben. You know, Ben would be over.
Oh, yeah.
Ben, it doesn't matter if he makes 20 some million a year. He's coming for a free meal. I get
exactly right.
So you don't think those guys would be coming to my house for a barbecue?
Of course they would.
Now, about 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, it was on either Labor Day or Memorial Day, the Steelers.com put out a video of them having a steak cooking contest, like the defense. And I remember Bud Dupree like winning. They had they had the steak cook-off. And man, it looked like so much fun. I just wanted to hang out with those guys. And if you watched Tales from 2 a.m. yesterday or listen to Tales from 2 a.m., that's what Steelers in different situation would you want to hang out with. And we didn't talk about barbecuing. What Steeler would you want to barbecue with, Tony?
I'd want to hang out and barbecue with Vince Williams, because I think he'd be the funnest to hang out with and eat a meal with.
Vince Williams is the guy I take for dinner and walk down a dark alley with.
Exactly.
Because I know that Vince is having my back, but we're not going to get into all of that. I think I would barbecue. Man, I'd probably barbecue with a lot of them. I think they'd be a lot of fun to barbecue with, but they've got work to do. The Steelers have got work to do, and each and every one of them, you don't expect them to take a step back from last year. Okay. In our mind's eye, we want everybody to have better stats than they did last year. And that's what we want. So instead of the old honey-do lists, you know, the wife, or it could be in your situation, you know, the husband says to you, honey, I need you to take care of this stuff. No, because you know what? My wife is better with tools than I am. I will tell you that whatsoever. She is more handy than when I am. I'm getting better, but she's handier. But, you know, you have that list and you work on it. And so it was funny, when I was at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, I was the manager. We had these guys that retired from their lifelong jobs, and then we asked them to be drivers for us when they were retired, because they went about 9 months. They did their entire honey-do list, and the wife was like, I want you out of my house. You know? I love it. And then so they'd work with me. They'd go to Burger King, then they'd come and they had this. There was this group of buddies, and they would end up going different places and drop off a car. Then they'd come back together, and or they would take a van and like they drop 5 cars off at a different location. If you don't have the car here, it's 40 miles down the road. Hey, go get it. That's what they do. It was awesome. So those guys were they would do their honey-do list. So I'm going. I don't want to call it honey-do list because that's not manly enough right now. So we're going to call it a Steeler do list. And we're going to take certain Steelers and we're going to assign things that we want them to do. Now, it's just not stats, Tony. It could be signing a contract. Mm-hmm. It could be staying out of trouble. Most of the Steelers, you don't need to worry about getting into trouble. Maybe Justin Lane. Jeff named him Lustin Jane. So because Justin Lane did not like something that Jeff said on the on Let's Ride one time. So
Justin Lane, all right.
Yeah.
That's man. Now I know why Jeff's so popular, because all the Steelers listen.
That show is. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
You and I do shows. We all do shows.
It sounds like Colin Cowherd or something is doing
that. Is the best show in the blogosphere, the Steeler blogosphere, if you ask me. It's a studio show. We're doing more studio shows. We have them coming up. We're going to have more talent. We're going to bring more talent in for the new fall season too. So we're going to have a lot more chance to have those shows. So let's go ahead and let's throw some guys up there. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to throw up a guy, then Tony will. And we're going to answer each one of us. And we have not planned this. So that's going to be fun because we're just going to talk off the cuff. So if you want to throw it, most of them will be stats. And so we're going to start off. Tony, what is your Steeler do list for Ben Roethlisberger?
I would like him to do more play action, because everybody has been clamoring for that for years. I don't know if he's willing to do that, but I'm okay with that. If he doesn't want to do play action, if he still wants to do the vast majority of his snaps in the shotgun, that's fine. but I'd like to see him throw 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. But the key stat I want from Ben this year, which has always been a hallmark of his, except for last year when he averaged like 6 yards an attempt, maybe even less than that. I want him to get back to the old days where he's up to around 7, 8, 9 yards per pass attempt, because that usually correlates to Super Bowl success or playoff success. And that's the old Ben I want to see come back. Somebody who's more of a risk taker downfield, not, throwing bombs away, but somebody who stretches the field a little bit more than he did last year.
So let's look at stats a little bit more in depth. I think those were great answers. I think a sweet spot for Ben Roethlisberger is around 3,400 yards. I think that's a good sweet spot for him. I would like to see plus 15 touchdown to interception ratio. I would like to see him plus 15. Ben is going to throw interceptions.
Right.
He didn't throw too many in the regular season last year. He threw 10.
Right.
But we just don't want to we just don't want him to come 5 in one game. Now, I felt like in that playoff game, he felt like, hey, maybe I've got to throw some more interceptions, because, I haven't done it and you expect that out of me. So I got to give you what you've asked for. So,
yeah, he definitely threw a lot in that game. That's okay, though.
Gyro, I want to pull up Gyro here. Gyro, a great contributor to our show in the live chat. For Ben, being able to do under center, have single-digit interceptions, throw the deep ball. Here's the funny thing about the deep ball with Ben Roethlisberger. I got to tell you, the deep ball with him. So, that PFF, those jerks from PFF, and I pay them money, and they're actually, I'm throwing out the Harbs name. I'm doing it. Those Wangs from PFF, the PFF Wangs, for doing this. We've got Wang Harbs, now we have Wang PFF. Now that little shot at Ben the other day with video of Ben throwing to Najee, just a soft toss of 5 yards. Right. Ben working on his deep ball. What a bunch of maroons. Let's just say that jabronis here. Jagoffs. That's what it is, man. That wasn't cool. Ramon Foster was ticked off about that.
I was hoping you would bring him up. I was laughing out loud when I read that was Mark Cabali's quote of him one time at training camp. I loved it.
And then Mark Cabali jumped in and said, "Hey, I saw him throw 2 balls of at least 55 yards and connect, but I'm not allowed to say that."
Right. Yeah, I mean, But those jerks from PFF, I think that's the quote. I forget his name. Harold Ramis from As Good as It Gets. I think that's your technical name. Those jerks from PFF.
There we go. All right. So, Tony, I like that. I get that. I want to throw this in. Dallas Quinley, this is his goal for Tomlin to actually bench Ben if he starts falling apart. Okay. I get it. If you feel that, and I'm not going to diss that. I'm not going to disrespect that wish list from Dallas. I'm just going to say is if you are in a situation where like Myron Cope was back in 2000, at the end of the 2004 season, when he went to the head of media relations and said, "Hey, when you feel like I'm going downhill, you let me know and I'm going to hang it up."
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things. They give him the Cope treatment when they're like, "All right, Ben, you don't have it anymore." I think they'll do that. I don't really think that they would do that, but I'm not going to disrespect it. I don't expect them. It's going to take a lot for them to bench Ben, and I just don't foresee it.
No, I don't think somebody would have to really blow them away in practice or the preseason. Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins, and think, "Oh wow, this guy really has a lot of talent, and he's really progressed." And if Ben struggles, you think, "Well, all right, we're just going to make a change right now." But other than that, I don't see that as a viable or a realistic thing that's going to happen in 2021. I think if they do decide to move on, it's going to be in the off season.
All right, when we come back from this break, Tony Defeo is going to ask me about a player that is going to absolutely blow you away. Or maybe not. I have no clue what it's going to be. But I can't wait to hear it. I want to come back to hear it. So Stick around. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, all you've got to do is just hang out for about 5 seconds. We're going to take a big stretch. If you are on any of our podcast platforms where you download your favorite podcast, and I hope every single BTSC one is on that list for you, all you have to do is switch on over to number 2. It's as simple as that. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Steelers Hangover from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. Tony Defeo is doing the Bobby Brady celebrating over there, giving himself kudos for some reason. I'm not sure if you haven't done anything great yet, Tony.
In my mind, I have.
All right, and that's a good mind. So that's as they would say, that's a beautiful mind there, Tony Defeo. All right, let's keep this party going. It is Memorial Day. We are looking at our Steeler do list for 2021. What do you want to see from the Pittsburgh Steelers? We're going to go back and forth. Tony, individual players, give me one, and I'll give you my Steeler do list.
I got one for you, and I think he's an important guy for their defense, and that is Alex Highsmith.
Okay, I wrote in Fact or Fiction, and I made it the headline the other day. It was Pittsburgh Steelers Fact or Fiction, Alex Highsmith Superstar, and Meatloaf Edition. So I've decided to add a little bit more Steelers into my headlines for Fact or Fiction because I would just give you the name of a singer or an old band, and you would have to decide whether you'd want to listen to it or not. And I figured, well, let's give you more of a reason to listen to it. So Alex Highsmith Superstar. The song I was talking about was I Would Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. And it was talking about like signing a guy like Richard Sherman, or it was like, or bringing back Le'Veon Bell, the things you would not do. So those were some of the things. But then I was talking about Highsmith too. Sherry Richard thinks Alex Highsmith needs 10 sacks. All sports, all the time. We'll say about Alex Highsmith. Highsmith needs to be in great condition so he can stay on the field. I will say this all sport all the time. I really think that he looks, man, he's taking this seriously. Do you know how ticked off Alex Highsmith is that people said, hey, I want to see JOK in the first round. I want to see an edge rusher in the first round. He took offense to that. I love when guys take offense to that.
Exactly.
So from what I've seen of him, just in maybe snippets of OTAs, man, he looks in shape. He really looks in shape. So all sports, I think you're going to be happy with that. So with Alex Highsmith, I want him to be sniffing 10 sacks. So look, does he have to eclipse 10 sacks? No. But he is going to get opportunities with a healthy Stephon Tuitt in front of him, playing opposite TJ Watt, and just the fact that he is a pass rush extraordinaire. Man, he had 14 sacks his last season. And Dabo Swinney, the head coach of Clemson, when they played them, he brought up in the postseason press conference, or excuse me, the postgame press conference, or maybe it was the pregame press conference. We got to look out for that linebacker there, Highsmith.
Right.
He was like, that kid is, I believe it was number 5 at the time. He said, that kid's scary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he had 14 sacks, and he looked good. He had 2 sacks against, this was 2 years ago. His last season at UNC Charlotte had 2 sacks against Clemson. So I really think, and I'm trying to read that. Brian Brown's putting in emojis, and I can't decipher emojis. So I'm not sure what that means. Because I just don't have time. Because if I try to read that,
I think it says I am immature. That's just, I could be wrong. I don't know emojis either. I'm
not sure. It might be something good, but
it could be.
Wait! It's the Ratbirds. Oh, I love it, Brian Brown. No. I'm gonna clap for. I'm pulling this up. I'm gonna clap for Brian Brown here. By the way, the Browns, Bengals, and the Ratbirds stink. Nice.
I'm sorry, Brian. Brian Brown. I apologize. I'm the monster here. I was being a heel. I thought you were saying we stunk. And I'm a narcissist and I'm a diva. So
we do stink.
Well, yeah, but I don't want anybody to say it. But yeah, but I apologize, Brian. I'm the one who's immature.
Okay, that was
very good.
Russ Obenstein says, I had to laugh. Highsmith was so happy, said he put weight, thought he would say 20 pounds. He put on 3, laugh out loud, but Marcus Allen bulked up and looks like a linebacker now. Very interesting. Right. Very, very interesting with that. Yeah, look, he doesn't have to have 10 sacks, but if he's around 8 or 9, that's going to be some pretty good production.
Right.
What do you think Bud Dupree would have ended up with? What did he hit like 9.5 before he got hurt with a month to go?
Yeah, he was probably on his way to 12 or 13, So if it's like I said, replacing AB, you don't have to get that, 100 receptions, but if you get to 80, you're still going to be an effective weapon. And I think that's the same thing with Alex Highsmith. And like Gyro said, if he can be effective against the run, which Bud Dupree was a very underrated part of his game, especially the last few years of his career here. I think Highsmith will have a decent year or a really good year for himself in 2021.
So, I really expect him and Mike Tomlin expects him to make a huge jump from year 1 to year 2. And he said it in that pre-draft press conference that he did in tandem with Kevin Colbert. So I think that is a really great guy. I did not expect you to bring Alex Highsmith up so soon. So great on you. So let me go ahead. So it's my turn. I'm going to, let's go with a rookie, man. What stats do we need out of Najee Harris?
Well, I think we need him obviously to be they need him to be to win the starting job going away in training camp and preseason. I think they need him to be head and shoulders above everybody else in the backfield, because I think that would signify that he's truly a special talent. Because I think they need kind of like a Marquise Pouncey kind of a situation where he comes in and he's clearly the best at the position. So that's the first thing I'm looking for. And the next thing I think they need him to be a 3-down back, because I think that they've been missing that since Le'Veon Bell, really. Although I guess James Conner was kind of that in 2018 before he got hurt at the end of the year. But yeah, that kind of running back who can tote the rock 20-25 times a game, and also pick up the blitz and be a valuable weapon out of the backfield. I think that's, as far as stats, with 17 games, of course, you have to maybe factor in a missed game or two due to injury, because he is a running back. I think if he gets 1,100 yards, maybe 600 or 700 yards through the air, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I would say that I want north of 1,500 yards as far as multi-purpose.
Right.
I'm not talking about, I don't think he's going to, when I say multi-purpose, I'm not talking about return yards. I don't expect him to do much in the return game. I don't expect him to really put him in the return game, but you never know. But I really think I'd love to see 40 catches out of him. And I really think he could do that in a sleep.
Right.
Evgeny Crosby. What does Evgeny say here? He put some stats out here, and I'm slow on the finger here. 1,200 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving, 12 TDs. That's almost a perfect line
that'd be
for a wish list. I don't think that is asking too much. Tony, no. I really don't.
No, especially if he's a 3-down, if he's an every down back, and he's becomes more of the focal point of the offense, because they're focusing more on the run game this year. I don't think that's too much to ask. Look what Bell did pretty much once he became the starter. Midway through the 2013 season, after he overcame some injuries, he was a workhorse almost right away. So I don't think that's too much to ask. And he was a 2nd-round pick as opposed to a 1st-round pick.
So let me say this about Najee. And I really, this is wishful thinking. Sherry Richards, I like this real quick. Let me bring up Sherry. 250 carries, 1,100, 9 TDs, 50 receptions, 475 yards, 3 TDs. That's pretty close to what we had. Wes is looking at the same thing. He's predicting 14-12, 10 TDs, 1758. So yeah, not bad. Now, it's easy for me to say my wish list for you, my to-do list for you is to stay healthy. All right. I'm not going to say that, but I threw it out there. But let's spin that a little bit. Don't run reckless to put yourself into situations. You know what's scary? One thing that does scare me about him.
What's that?
He's one of those guys that he has no problem leaping you.
Right. Yeah.
Remember all those highlights when he got drafted of him leaping over people?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good way. Hey, we saw Le'Veon Bell do that too.
Right.
And it was great. That's not the reason he got hurt. But all I'm saying is put yourself in a situation where you can still thrive and not be reckless with your legs. Right. Is that too much to ask? Michael O'Malley says that's how he plays, and that's probably how he got 30 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, and that's the thing about running backs is it's the great ones. It's all about instinct, and they really can't be coached. Their moves can't be coached. It's all instinct. But still, I mean, I guess he could start making a conscious effort not to do that. But then again, maybe he does want to make a conscious effort to stop doing that. Maybe he wants to keep doing that. I don't know, but I agree with you. That's something that could lead to a serious injury. On any play, not even an accumulative effect, just on any play out of nowhere. The NFL is a lot different. Even the SEC, it's a lot different than the SEC as far as competition. So yeah, that could be scary.
I like what Wes says here. I ultimately think, though, his total stats are less important than his quality of rushes, and that's true as well. So, Tony, what do you've got for me? Throw one at me.
I'm going to throw one at you.
While you do that, let me bring this up. I think it was funny, and I don't want to pass it up. And I'm going to tell Black and Gold Goggles, I love this. He is asking, is it me or is Bad Shirt not putting off a real Freddy Krueger vibe? Now, I have different colors, so I'm pulling it down. I have got the ultimate Freddy Krueger shirt. It almost looks Ohio State-ish, but Freddy Krueger's shirt is more of the gray that I would have in this. Is Freddy Krueger's would be more green, but I have a shirt that I wish I could go bust out right now to show you that shirt. Black and Gold Goggles, remind me. I will have to find the true Freddy Krueger shirt, but not bad. I will give you credit for that one. All right, Tony, you're up.
All right. You ready for this? I got a big one. Out of left field. Chase Claypool.
Oh, that's not out of left field.
I know.
You know what? I kind of need Chase Claypool to take over the stable. Now, not as a leader. I need Juju Smith-Schuster to be the leader, but not worry about the stats. And I don't think, I think Juju does a great job. Juju had a lot of touchdowns last year.
Right.
But I think we need a Mike Wallace type year out of Chase Claypool. I think he needs to be, and I think it's going to happen. And the reason I will say that, and AJ Gavin Anthony says Claypool has to be the guy. That's what I'm saying too. He's got to be the guy. I noticed late in that season, Ben in that Indianapolis game, even in that Cleveland game, where they lost. I really think that Claypool became the guy. Now, Ali Howard says Juju the leader. Yeah. I need him to be the leader of that group. And I really think he is. I think in that locker room, he is. Now, a lot of people, for Andrew Wilbar says, stay off TikTok. Don't become a diva and become the guy in that core. Truly emerge as the top guy in that room.
Isn't Andrew in his 20s? He should be on TikTok right now. He should be on TikTok instead of watching us, but that's just me. All right.
You know what? I'm not worried about the TikTok. I sound like an old man. The TikTok, the Twitter. I'm not worried about the Facebook in that. Now, you know what? I think Juju is the leader of that group, for better or worse. But last year, that birthday celebration, it shows you, and Jeff Hartman talks about this. Doesn't talk about the birthday celebration, but he talks about the fact that Juju Smith-Schuster is a leader among those guys.
Right.
And I really think, because one thing you could say about Juju, you could throw out all that other stuff, but Juju, man, works.
Yeah.
Just like AB worked.
Right.
AB worked his butt off.
Exactly. I read.
Go ahead.
I read about what he did last year, talking about Juju, as far as he wanted to take his conditioning to a whole new level, and he hired a pretty famous trainer from the West Coast, and he was working out 2 days, two times a day, 6 days a week, and he put on like 10 pounds of muscle. I mean, you don't do that if you're unfocused and undisciplined. I mean, you could do all the TikTok you want if you could transform your body the way he did last year. That tells me all I need to know about his dedication.
Do you remember when AB, before it all blew up in the playoff game, but when AB was doing the Facebook Live stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it, because Jeff and I would do the post-game show then. It wasn't called The Hangover. It was called The Hangover once with Jeff and I. But then what we would do when we did it on that same night, I would wait till I watched AB. They had that snowy game in Buffalo where Le'Veon Bell broke the record, and they were stuck on the tarmac. And AB was walking around the whole plane. He was interviewing Tomlin. He was interviewing everybody. And it was actually really cool. It was like, man, you had a backstage pass. And I thought it was great. When it got in the way, and when it became billboard material, it became a problem. And it blew up fast, because it was after a playoff game, and you found out he was screwing around. It was like, man, you're in high school, and the coach is gathering everybody, and you're in the corner just hanging out. And you're like, oh, we got to get over there. You know, I mean, that's kind of what it was, but it was kind of disrespectful to the process. I don't care about any of that stuff. Wes says he doesn't care about any of that stuff. It doesn't matter until it becomes a problem. It became a problem when he realized that the Bengals were trying to take his head off. The Buffalo Bills using that as a rallying cry. Buffalo Bills did not need that as a rallying cry. But he fumbles the ball when Cincinnati my gosh, they tattooed him. And he put a target on his back by doing it. You're not going to go see him at midfield again. So if he wants to TikTok everything else in his free time, no problem with it. I remember Mike Hilton got married, and Mike Hilton got married a couple years ago on their bye week, during their bye week. And people were bitching, instead of getting married and worrying about women, he should be practicing. Defense should be getting,
I mean,
come on.
Sometimes there's no perspective with a lot of this stuff. I mean, I don't know. As far as like the logos thing, I guess there's some tangible evidence with that Bengals game that maybe it could be a detriment, but everything else, like what they do on a Wednesday, what they do on a Thursday in their free time, to me, if you're like one of Juju's teammates and you can't handle a question from the reporters about his TikTok video that he posted that day, if you can't handle that, then you don't belong in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not saying that they can't handle it, because I think none of them really care about that stuff as much as we do. So yeah, I don't care. I think the dedication that they show me in the off season with the work that they put in, that's all I need to know.
So in free time, it's fine. We've said that, no problem. AJ says, what if Juju just did the TikToks in the end zone? No, keep it off the field. It's 3 hours on the field, no phones. Man, you don't have to do that. I mean, you want to do it before the game, don't be disrespectful. I just hate the dancing on somebody else's logo. Makes me sound like an old man, but really, in that game against Cincinnati, he put the target on his back, and it had to stop. At first, Tomlin wasn't worried about it until it became a distraction. Now, Wes said something in the live chat is, fans need something to scapegoat. Yeah, we always need to scapegoat something. But we've got other guys doing other things in the offseason I remember one year, like all those guys would go hunting together. Kiesel and Debo would go hunting a lot. And I remember it was fine until they lost a couple games, and there you go.
Yeah.
So Tyler W is saying kids these days, bad, you sound old fashioned. And it's funny because they're saying in the live chat here. Not the live chat, in the Slack. We have the Slack channel where we communicate. I changed, instead of a picture of my face, I now have a picture of Abraham Simpson, Homer Simpson's father, and the newspaper that says old man shakes fist at clouds. And that's my new avatar. Because I'm becoming, my wife makes fun of me for that. Suddenly I'm that guy. I will never say you kids get off my lawn, but you kids get off my lawn.
We have to clear something up. I made a mistake with Andrew. He's 18. He's not in his 20s. I made him older than he was. So now I'm going to take Andrew under my wing and show him how to be immature like me.
That's a great wing to be under. Andrew, you are now the Tony Defeo protege.
That's right. I'll show you how to be immature. You forget this responsibility stuff. You want to be immature until you're almost 50.
All right, Tony, let's do let's go ahead and do the lightning round.
Okay.
You do 2, I do 2. TJ Watt.
Oh, I want him to have 16 sacks.
Defensive player of the year. No, not 16 sacks, Tony. 16.5 sacks.
16.5 sacks. Okay. Did it
take that
last year?
No.
Okay. Is that the record? 16.5.
That's
okay.
Debo's record, 16. And it's not against Debo. I just want to see the record be broken. And then after Watt breaks it, I want to see somebody break Watt's record. That's it. Gyro says defensive player of the year. I see your 16.5 sacks, and I raise you just like Gyro does, DPOY. All right, Tony, throw me one.
Devin Bush.
150 tackles.
Yes, I knew. I was hoping you would say something like that. That's what I want.
I know that's a little high, but sideline to sideline, I want him to make that the no-go zone.
I want him to be the center of that defense that they were looking for when they traded up to get him to you. I realize he's coming off a torn ACL, but that's what I'm looking for.
I want minute ball. I want this.
Right. Yes. No, not in my house.
That's what I want with Devin Bush. Tony, Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Woo. A few more defensive touchdowns. What did he have? One last year? Maybe three defensive, and just to be that Troy Polamalu, like, I realized he's a free safety, not a strong safety, but that Troy Polamalu safety that the opposing offensive coordinator has to make and has to account for each and every week.
All right, throw me one more.
Robert Spillane.
Wow, Robert Spillane. Okay.
As far as
I've got a good one. I've got a good one. 0 starts, but a ton of tackles. Okay. 0 starts and a ton of tackles. And he can get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see him start at all. One, that means no one's hurt, but he could be the best third inside linebacker in the league. He could be.
Okay, well, I have a follow-up then.
Okay.
So you see, I thought he was in contention just based off how he played last year, filling in for Bush. He's in contention to be the starter opposite Bush. So who do you think is going to be the starter opposite Bush?
I want it to be Vince Williams.
Okay.
Because Vince against the run, to me, I think that is what really made that a number one defense in 2019 because the first 2 weeks of the season, remember Chris Carson ran all over them. They could not, they couldn't stop the run the first, and it was here we go again.
Right.
Then you trade for Minkah, and everybody is saying, "Oh wow, Minkah's he's the linchpin. He's the one that's going to make it all happen." But Devin Bush came back a week later when they were playing. Okay, they were 1-3, and he comes back against who was going to be a juggernaut that year, the breakout season of Lamar Jackson. And he comes in and he probably held Lamar Jackson to the least amount rushing yards that he had all season that year. And not he, but the Steelers defense. And he was the guy. I know you can talk all you want. I'm not even going to look at the live chat on Vince Williams because everybody's going to talk, well, he's a liability against the pass. He's got his fair share of interceptions too. He's done that as well. But really, to keep that running game in check, Vince Williams is there to spell both those guys. That's who I want Bobby Spillane to be. I want him to spell both of those guys, and he really can. Very good. I love that. I love how you answered that question. That's pretty real. You're a true professional. Professional what? I appreciate that. So hey, let's get on out of here. Okay. And I appreciate all of you for hanging out with us here on Memorial Day. And thank you so much. We're getting ready to go into June. And you know what they always say about June 1st in the NFL, there's some signings. There's a lot of those teams wait until after June 1st because when you wait until after June 1st, you don't get hit as hard. Right. So it's easier to sign some guys. So here's the question. Let's just throw this out to you real quick, Tony. Is there going to be a new face in Pittsburgh before training camp? Yes. I don't think it's going to be anything huge, but it might be like and I'm not saying the position, but it might be an Avery Williamson type of veteran that they bring in here. Fair enough. Ray Moore saying Justin Houston. I would celebrate if it was Justin Houston. Andrew Wilbar says, interesting show, guys. Enjoy your Memorial Day evening, y'all. Wes, there's going to be 2 new signings in his opinion. Great. Gyro, peace, great show. Hey, we don't do this without each and every one of you. Thank you so much. For Tony Defeo, my name is Bryan Anthony Davis. We ask you to do these things because you're important to us. Be safe, be true to yourself, and always be behind the steel curtain. And just when you think you've got all the answers, we keep changing the questions. Good night. We're idiots.